Catherine Austin, and welcome to Living Karma Yoga. This show celebrates the best of the yoga world, from the physical practices to meditations, travel, food, everything, and even more. We're so happy you're with us today, and I hope that you leave elevated and inspired to take your yoga off the mat and into your life with us. So I'm here today at a good friend and colleague's house, Kate Smith, and we're so excited to have an interview with her today surrounding her whole journey as becoming part of my Ayurveda team at Karma Yoga. She's also an Ayurvedic chef, and she participates in teaching my students Ayurvedic cooking classes and also my teacher trainees as part of my training program. So welcome, Kate. So great to have you.
Are you kidding? It's so great to be here with you. I was just thinking we're both so busy all the time. We never get to see each other.
I know.
So it's great that we're here together in our favorite place.
Yeah. So we just want to hear all about your journey, how you got all the way to teaching Ayurvedic chef and cooking classes. So start us back at the beginning.
All right. Well, really becoming an Ayurvedic chef was a natural progression for me because over 25 years ago, I actually graduated from the New York Restaurant School. So I already was an accredited chef. And it's really in my nervous system to be with food, to cook food, to present food, and to share it from my heart with others. But that was only the beginning of my journey as a chef. I really don't work as a chef full time. I'm a psychotherapist and I work at the Birmingham Maple Clinic, but I've actually incorporated yoga and yogic philosophy into my teaching and into my professional work as a therapist. But there's a little incident that happened quite a number of years ago that planted the seeds for me about Ayurveda, and I think it was the divine. It was all orchestrated, right? Everything is. So I went on this trip to Texas, of all places, and at the time, Omega had a satellite teaching spot, and it was at this fabulous Zen Texas spa, and all of the architecture was called actually Texas Zen. And there was a teacher that I went to study with, and her name was Tara Brock, and she's a Buddhist, an American Buddhist, and she's kind of cool. She's just like us, a real gal, and I was dying to study with her. She wrote a book called Radical Acceptance, Embracing Your Heart with the Love of, Radical Acceptance, Embracing Your Life with the Heart of a Buddha. Wow. So I traveled all the way to Texas, and guess what? She didn't show up. She was sick.
What a surprise.
What was I supposed to do?
Right.
I had to figure that one out. Well, the spa had Ayurvedic treatments. I knew nothing about Ayurveda at the time. This is many years ago.
Was this before you even came to Michigan?
No, I was already living and working here. It was at the beginning of my journey, right after my master's program.
Okay.
So I didn't know anything about Ayurveda, but I thought I'm supposed to immerse myself in these treatments, in this spa-like experience, and they gave you a refund. Take all your money from the workshop and spend it on yourself. And I did. And after each treatment, you would come out and you would be given these beautiful Ayurvedic jams and snacks and teas. And I remember seeing the word dosha for the first time, and I was like, what is this all about? I came home feeling like $1 million.
I just got chills. I
did too.
An important part of your journey.
It was, and I really felt different, and I didn't know what it was, Kath. And it's really nice for you to remind me of it because it was a very special experience. Well, flash forward, and I kind of forgot about it, but not really because I tucked it away. And then, you know, I went about my work and just thought, I don't know what to do with this quite yet. And sometimes that happens in workshops. You know, you go and you dive in and you got to process it. You don't even really know what's going to happen.
And it comes out usually later why we had that experience. We don't know, we don't see it, but you know, the movie of our life further down the road, we see like how all these things came in order to take us to where we are today.
Exactly, and who knew how this one would actually unfold.
Right.
So flash forward to working as a therapist and practicing as a as a yogi. And I began to have some digestive issues, and I really didn't know what was going on with me and with food, quite frankly. And I'll confess that I wasn't really aware about my body and my relationship with food. And I was doing everything that was counterintuitive and being sucked into myths and tapes about...
Me too, years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's why we've been so attracted to do so much of this work together. I mean, we've done workshops together, which, you know, I'll talk about in a sec. But I didn't even really know what was going on, and I think I was restricting my food intake, like don't eat this and don't eat that, and so I wasn't eating healthy fats, you know, like avocados and oils and, you know, nuts and seeds, and I just didn't really know what to do. And I came to Karma Yoga. I was searching for a new place to practice, and I came to Karma Yoga, and I started hearing again about Ayurveda, and I heard about Natalie, one of our other Ayurvedic practitioners. Natalie Donlan, what's her married name? Pyatt. And I went to see Natalie. And I actually think you referred me to her.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I started meeting with her. And so began the healing of my gastrointestinal issues and the healing of my heart and the healing of my body in so many ways. And I was fascinated with it. And when I get switched on to something, there's nothing that will stop me, and I got really passionate about it. I got passionate about it because I'm so passionate about food, and I began to teach myself all about Ayurvedic cooking, and I bought every cookbook I could get my hands on, and I started preparing and learning how to cook Ayurvedically, and I was already really passionate, like I said, about food, but I was passionate to the extent that I knew that it could heal me. And I had done a little bit of food presentation and a little bit of food styling way back in New York. And I knew that if it didn't taste good and if it didn't look good, then people weren't going to eat it. And my family wasn't going to eat it, and I wasn't going to eat it. And eventually I was led to study with teachers who actually taught Ayurvedic cooking. And one of the reasons that I was led to do that was because of my training that I stepped into in the path of teacher training with you. And what happened was, I don't know if you remember this.
I do.
Yeah, that little kitchen experience we had together.
Yeah,
remember
I was bringing
that?
Ayurveda into
That's
my teacher
right.
trainings at that point
Exactly.
because it was something I was living and practicing, so I wanted to expose my trainees to this
Right.
beautiful, balancing way of life.
Exactly. So when I took your teacher training, I was so moved to take it, and I wanted to see, what is this that you teach, and how could I deepen my own personal practice? And again, I had no idea what was going to happen. And I wanted to do it as well to deepen my thought process intuitively when I was with my psychotherapy patients. That was my main purpose for taking teacher training. But when you started bringing us food during teacher training, I felt like I was at a spa again. And I would go home and I would go, God, this is so calming and soothing. I feel so great. And people would say, well, God, you're doing this all day? And I would say, I don't know, it feels really great. It feels like I'm at a spa all day. And then we began to talk about how those community meals with the teachers who were with me on that journey affected us. And I started to go out and really learn how to incorporate this into my life and how to begin to maybe, we started the dialogue about it, maybe teach it. And I went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I studied with Amadea Morningstar, who is one of our Ayurveda guru teachers, and she's written many, many cookbooks on Ayurvedic cooking, and Deva Khalsa, who is a Kundalini teacher and master, and I immersed myself in a training for Ayurvedic cooking. They're very hard to find. Because it's a very specific niche, right? And most people want to become practitioners who walk down this path, and I'll leave that to the other practitioners. But I really needed to find, how could I sink my teeth into it and make myself credible and make it credible and get better.
Well, you know what I like is you call your cooking classes modern Ayurvedic cooking. So you really bring it to the householder path of us that are living in this human realm of how do we incorporate this in this day and age, in our lifestyle.
Exactly, Kath, and that's what you really model as our teacher in our teacher training, that we are householders and that we're not renunciates, and that our yoga needs to be touchable, feelable, breathable for us. So I did start to develop it as a modern way of thinking. And some of the more traditional Ayurvedic foods are, well, you know, and I say this with great respect, you know, the normal householder is kind of maybe going to turn their nose up at first.
Sure.
Unless you're really walking down this path and maybe you've been to India or really studied, you know, you're like, ooh, curry or ooh, this. And I wanted people to go, ah, that. And of course they do. So after I started to study more in depth, I really began to cultivate and fine-tune my own art. And I was back on the path of cooking and back on the path of teaching and demonstrating in a very small way. And then in your, really I have to thank you for it, because you nudge people who have their own talents, and you say, no, do it. No, see what happens. And we decided to offer these classes to your teachers in training. And that's really how the journey became credible. Because at the end of teacher training, people come to me, and they come to our home, to my home.
This. It's so great.
And as part of their teacher training, we offer them the very, very important limb of yoga, which is Ayurveda and Ayurvedic cooking and Ayurvedic lifestyle. And so they come for a 3-hour class actually in my home, and I teach them modern Ayurvedic cooking, and we do sadhana, ritual, and we learn about spices, and it's very seasonal. It depends when your teachers are finishing their journey, what I'm teaching. And then the classes actually became so successful that people started to talk about it at Karma Yoga.
Right,
and
our students were like, how can we have some of this?
Exactly, and there was a buzz about it. And so we developed classes that you offer at Karma Yoga that are offered 3 times a year at the different seasons. The Intro to Modern Ayurvedic Cooking class, the Level 1 class, which is in the spring, and then in the fall we'll be having our last class.
And let's mention they're like sold out like right away every time we put this up.
They are. The first time we did it actually a couple of years ago, we had to double up. We had to offer the classes twice because really people wanted it, and there was a waiting list so long.
And we seriously are trying to find like maybe a larger kitchen or a commercial kitchen so we can expand this.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we will.
So how did you, let's backtrack a little bit, because it was great. I've known you for many years, where I used to teach aerobics back at the Franklin Racket Club, and you were there exercising.
I was.
And then I was led down the yoga path, and we were at another studio where I was teaching for a while, and then I was guided to open my own studio. And then all of a sudden you walked in one day, and I was like, I hadn't seen you for years. I just got chills. And it was just like, I was so happy that you had, I don't know, been led back into being my life. Oh, getting teary. And I can see this was so meant to be, because look at where we are now. So you also are this psychotherapist. You went into your yoga much deeper through the teacher training. What do you bring to your clients? You're having them live their yoga through helping them with yoga, and also the cooking or the food as a pharmacy piece, you tell me a lot.
Right. Well, it's a slow process. It's a slow evolution, and it's about planting seeds. You know, I am in a traditional setting, and it is a Western model of medicine. So it's a careful, mindful invitation. But yoga is so much, thank God, a part of our Western world now, and we are so lucky to have Karma Yoga right here in our own backyards, and many other wonderful studios as well. So yoga is at the tip of everyone's tongues. So that's the first piece, to offer them an alternative modality of intervention.
Shifting the energy, right?
Yes.
Clearing old patterning. And
Because the truth is that talk therapy is a wonderful modality, and there's nothing like it. However, the deeper healing really needs to happen at a cellular level. And I work with so many women who have depression issues and anxiety issues, and really at the root of it, healing issues. So the first piece that I can give them, that it's right here, that I embrace and that I own, is my journey with yoga and my practice at Karma Yoga. So that's the first seed, to turn them on to yoga. And then I can begin to talk to them about their nervous system, and I can teach them small but significant little ways of deepening their breath, of coming to their breath, And then I can begin to ask them questions that all Western practitioners ask. What's your diet like? What's your sleep like? What's your mood like? What do you do first thing? And I always ask, what'd you have for breakfast? So those are some of the ways that they're not even realizing that I'm beginning to offer them this path.
And this is what we teach at Karma, is to look at this bigger picture, that your energy and everything you do, you wear, you drink, you watch, you drive, anything you do affects you, how you feel.
Exactly. And the food piece is so important because I am modeling for them and for everyone and for the people that come to our cooking classes how to live your life without making it complicated, making it simple. And I think it's really important that we look at food as our pharmacy and as a way to heal ourselves. I think it's important for people to know that you should cook for yourself. If nobody's home, cook for you. That's really my biggest message.
And talk about why that's so important and how that shifts you.
Well, for me, it's because it teaches us mindfulness. It teaches us to slow down and to be with the mirror into our soul. When we're with food, we're creating. And it brings us closer to the divine. It says, I care about myself. It says, I can be healed. And it's a creative expression. I mean, if I don't cook every day, I don't feel whole. I feel like, ooh, I'm scattered. So I love to cook every day, and I love to prepare every day. And I just encourage everyone to just make something simple for yourself. Even if it's your breakfast, or even if you come home from work and you bring what you prepared for the day, clean your container and think in a small way, what am I going to bring with me to work for tomorrow?
Well, you model that to your student, or your clients even, I was going to say, because I'll talk to you on a break and you're like, I'm having my khichdi or having my hot fennel tea, and your clients see you living this lifestyle super easy. And I think you've said you've even offered them some of your...
I say, you see, I'm drinking tea with lemon and ginger. I mean, just to show somebody what a slice of fresh ginger looks like. That's the visual, you know, that they don't really get in their everyday experience. So it's exciting, and you know, so many people are excited and inspired by it.
Well, I remember my first Ayurvedic practitioner that I went to see for a consultation to learn about myself and everything. He actually said to me, it's really not a good idea to eat food that's prepared in airports when you're traveling. And I said, well, why? I never even considered, I mean, it's not always great, but food, but he said it's because the energy they're putting into it can be very negative, because they're sad or they're depressed that they're not traveling, that they have to work at the airport. And you always want to think about who's preparing your food and who's putting their energy into it. So remember, that's why when Grandma was making her major apple pie and we felt the love, and sometimes when we tried to redo the recipe ourselves, we couldn't reproduce it the same. It's because her energy and her love was going into it. So this is what you're talking about. When we prepare our food for ourselves, we're receiving back in self-love, self-care, self-worth.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I remember a student of ours who was having some surgery, and I prepared some food for her, you know, for delivery. And her husband had never tasted this Ayurvedic cooking, and he said, what is so different about this food? It's different than when you make it. And she said, it's from Kate's kitchen. There's so much love and so much vibration and chanting and everything that goes on. And that's the beauty of Ayurveda. It's a three-pronged practice. It's a practice of meditation, yoga, and food as pharmacy. You know, when I went recently in February to study with Vasant Lad and his wife Usha, and they're like the godmother and godfather of bringing Ayurvedic cooking to the Western world, he talked about love, 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 love for 2 days. You know, and here's this little Indian man from India who's been here in the United States for many years, and all he talked about was love. You have to have love, and of course chapati and khichdi. And there's his wife in the sari with her bare feet, you know, and her bangles up her arms, and she's just cooking, and he's talking about love, and he refers to her many times of her beautiful offering of love. So
I want to visit our trip to India.
Ah.
I was so excited that I got you to go
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know traveling can be, you know, a little
Oh,
scary
yeah.
for you.
It
And I
was.
got you all the way to India to an Ayurvedic resort.
True.
And before we knew it, you had the chef out there giving us like private
I did.
dosa lessons.
Yeah.
And so what did you learn there that you added to your beautiful career and what you brought back?
Everything. It really helped me to embody the already ongoing path of study. And it was very exciting. It was a beautiful, beautiful resort on the Indian Ocean, and I made it my self-study once again, and I enlisted, you know, what was he called? I can't remember his name, but he was this very tall, divine spirit, and, you know, we became fast friends, and, you know, I enlisted him every day. I would wake up and I would go down to the dining room.
Right, you went into the kitchen, right?
I did. I went into the kitchen. I went everywhere, and I sort of, you know, invited him and seduced him to teach me, to be my teacher, to be my guru of the trip. And it was a very arduous trip to get there, as you knew before you brought us. But all the fear disappeared with the invitation to be in this teaching. And we went with so many beautiful friends, and once we were at the resort and once I could see what was unraveling, you know, I just got excited about everything. And it really was a lab. It was a lab, a beautiful, beautiful lab. And I took notes and I walked around and asked him to dissect everything for me. And I got recipes. And by the end of it, he laid out this beautiful course for us on how to make dosa.
I'll never forget that.
We were obsessed with it. We were obsessed with dosa. And we had this amazing demonstration of these beautiful dosas. Maybe we can do an episode on them someday, of these beautiful cone dosa, which is like an Indian pancake. It can be a crispy or a more wet dosa, depending on how you make it.
And that helped you master it, right? Because you were struggling with that, right?
I did.
And
I wanted to learn all about it.
And
every morning, and then everybody started having dosa for breakfast.
Right.
Remember, I concocted the dosa with the egg with the chutney.
Right.
So you'd get the dosa, then you'd spread the layer of chutney, then you'd get the egg to order, however you wanted. You'd roll it up, and everybody was eating it by the end of the trip. It was so fun. So it was great. And then we ate local food. You know, which was kind of taboo. You know, you didn't really want to eat street food, but I took a chance because I had to. I had to experience it.
Well, with our experience in Ayurveda, we actually helped prepare ourselves for the travel to India, right? We
did.
even pack our own travel food. I pack my own travel food now every time I travel.
We did. We did. Well, we actually, you know, called Natalie, and we got a lot of coaching from our Ayurvedic practitioners, and there were so many things that we learned to prepare our body and our mind to be sturdy and to endure. And I mean, none of us got sick. We were all, everyone was so healthy.
And that's because we kept a strong Agni, or a fire, in our belly. Right?
And the practice, doing the yoga every day, oh my God, on the ocean, and the chanting and the mantra. We were living our yoga and living our Ayurveda. So, and I ate everything. Oh my God, every night. I mean, we would fill our plates up with beautiful food, and I think everybody would always look over at you and me and our friend, you know, Kelly, who is also an Ayurvedic practitioner, and they would say, "Oh my God, what are they eating tonight?"
Right?
Because we were very adventurous. We wanted to be. I mean, heck, we were in southern India, you know, where the food is quite different than in northern India. So we wanted to dive in and really grab the gusto.
And let's talk about that, because we have the luxury of living this lifestyle and we feel really blessed.
We do.
But we fit it into modern life, like I was saying earlier. And you have 2 sons, I have 3 sons.
I do.
You've been cooking for your family. So we still prepare for those that we love and yet keep our food to support us, what works for us. And we work around menus in restaurants and everything. It's not a problem. It's very simple.
No, it's not. And I think for the most part, what happens is that the people in your home, your family, they want more of it because they see how good you feel and how healthy you feel and how much prana, life force, is in you. And my youngest son, Josh, for instance, I mean, has begun to meditate. He has a meditation practice, and he's a vegetarian, and all of his friends have been coming over for years, and now they're all eating that way. This year up at school, you know, they had, you know, a chapati. They would have their ghee on their chapati and drizzle their honey, and they'd make rice and all kinds of things. And I think everybody can interface their own way of eating. My husband's not a vegetarian, so he's, you know, having some grilled chicken, but all of the rest of his things on his plate are the same things I'm eating and the
Right.
same things I'm preparing. So there's a wonderful interfacing of food.
And have you seen a progression in your family, even just switching their eating more over the years? I know your husband had some health problems with the heart, and so he's even opened up more to foods Ayurvedically that would support him on that journey, right?
I think he has. He's definitely embraced anything that he can get his hands on, especially aromatherapy, which has been very powerful for him with some of his heart issues. So.
Oh, that's cool. So when you're giving your modern Ayurvedic cooking classes, have you found people that are also interested in privates? I think you've done some private cooking lessons as well.
I have, which is really fun because then I can tailor what I'm talking about more to them and they can bring that to their families. So it's really fun. I mean, I'm really careful to refer people in a deeper way for specific recommendations to our Ayurvedic team. That's why we're so lucky. In fact, the greatest experience for all of us is when we can work with clients together.
Right.
And in fact, you and I and Kelly Haskey and Natalie, we have worked very closely with some of my psychotherapy clients to bring great healing to them over the years, from body work to yoga to the food is healing to the specific recommendations that the Ayurvedic practitioners can give. I mean, the healing just happens like whoosh,
I know,
tenfold. So that's really exciting.
Well, that's what's so great, and why I'm bringing this show now, this Living Karma Yoga, is to really spread this amazing team of experts that we have been brought together to do this work together. You know, we first thought it was just stepping on a yoga mat and exercising, and it's just, no, it's all these lifestyle supports and things that we do on a regular basis that we're sharing with our students, our clients, and like you said, we're always sharing clients and students too. They might come to me for yoga and meditation, you for the cooking, Kelly for the Ayurvedic treatments, Dave and Natalie for some consultations and learning about this whole world of all these words you're saying that some people might go, what's ghee, what's dosha, what's all that? And it's just such a beautiful thing to open up to people's awarenesses.
It is. Ayurveda is a lifestyle, and the Ayurvedic cooking is healing the body through food. What's really neat, you talked about, you just mentioned Dave, is my son who lives in California has just been turned on through us talking about Dave to Dave. And every day he's on Dave's blog and Dave's website and watching Dave's video, and he kind of knows, oh yeah, Dave's in California. So you just never know how you spread the message, and that's the really exciting part. You don't know. You're embodying it and you're walking it. I mean, people come into the conference room sometimes where I work and they see what I'm eating and they're like, ooh, what are you eating? And it's, you know, beautiful date balls, you know, date nut balls. And they love it. They gobble it up. So you just never know.
It's so fun to open people's awarenesses to all new things.
It is.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited, and we're going to have a few segments in the future too of you teaching us ghee and paneer and some simple things to add to our life to introduce this world of Ayurvedic cooking.
I can't wait.
So I'd like to just end, I always like to end with an inspiration for the day, and this is from my teacher Yogi Bhajan. I love this one. It's make yourself so happy so that when others look at you, they become happy too. And this is what you'll embody through these practices. You're just going to start holding this higher vibration. You're going to glow. You're going to be inspirational. Your energy field is going to be just feeling so up and elevated when others are around you. And that's beautiful, because in this world we need more light workers. And we are on that path of light workers in this community, your family, with your friends. If you enjoyed what you've seen here today, please visit our website, www.karma-yoga.net, for more.